Super. Welcome, everyone. This is July 2023, and we're delighted to be here to share with you our monthly card making class. It's my privilege and pleasure to partner each month with Julia at the Baldwinsville Public Library to bring you some fun crafting techniques, some tips and tricks, and hopefully some inspiration so you can combine product pieces that you picked up at the library with things that you have at your stash at home. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. If I can help you with any questions about products or techniques, or if you have any suggestions for things that you would like to learn, please add that to the comments or message me or Julia. We do like requests, and it's very fun to be able to personalize our classes based on people's interest. Tonight, your kit is a little bit different if you picked up a kit from the library, and we appreciate that $5 suggested donation to help us, help me to continue to create some custom kits for you. Tonight, instead of having a kit that has 4 projects all sort of separated and pre-cut for you, you received one of 4 different designs of a sort of an assortment pack, a collection of card pieces, as well as some ribbons, some embellishments. And so tonight, as I share with you a few different layouts, you'll be using your particular kit supplies or items that you have in your stash. So I want to just tell you that these are called Memories and More. And what they are is a card kit, pieces that are 4x6 or 3x4 that are used for memory keeping, for pocket scrapbooking, or also for card making. And so we do have current ones available in our catalog, but these are some favorite retired ones that I've put together, also adding some ribbons, some gems, and so you can decorate your cards and really personalize them. Also, with your cellophane wrapped kit, you received some card bases, and one will be kind of a craft base color. I'll hold that up here. And the other is a floral design that has some of this pretty yellow color. And there we go. It's hard with I'm just figuring out my lighting here to help us be able to see. There we go. An envelope. And so based on your kit, you're going to use the cards that I've included or other supplies that you have. We also have several card bases in different neutral colors that you can use. Tonight, I'll be working just with white card bases for that. So Julia, if you want to show my hands, I'm going to shift down to share some examples. And but before we do that, I'll just hold them up. There's a holiday one with a little gnome. So some of you have that one. There's one with lots of butterflies and tea party designs. There's one with dragonflies and some dandelions and beautiful neutral natural colors. And then there's one with a lot of maps and globes and kind of dream and destination themes. Let's see. Can everyone see my hands right now or just my face? I'm going to add this as a spotlight. So there we are. I think we're side by side now, my smile as well as my hands. And if that's correct, you can go off mute and let me know so that I can help you with that. Here's my hand view. So one of the card designs is kind of a clever pop-up. And let's see. So Julie, I'm going to go ahead and remove the spotlight from my smile here so that it will just be, I believe, just my hands now in a larger view. Okay. So this is a card that's kind of a fun pop-up. It's got some paper engineering that allows us to have an element on the inside move forward toward the recipient as they open the card. There's one of the Christmas versions. This one has the tea party and the butterfly theme. And this one that's for the next project. This one is with that dandelion and the little bee here. You can see I've got a gem to kind of add some sparkle to his wings. There it is. And this one is a portrait orientation with the pop-up inside. So we're going to begin by making the pop-up version of our card tonight. So again, your supplies will be one of those 4 different kits, and you'll want to grab a piece of white or any neutral that you have that's your half sheet of paper. And I will find mine here so I can work along with us tonight. Let's see. Sometimes things hide on my table. Here it is. So this is a half sheet of paper. It measures 5.5 by 8.5 inches. And we're going to fold that in half and score using a bone folder or a back of a spoon or your thumb. You're going to make a nice crease here. And that now we have just the basic folded card. And to make that pop-up feature inside, it's really super simple. We're actually just going to make 2 cuts and 1 fold. So with some snips, we're going to, on the side of the card with the fold, we're going to cut 2 slits. And if you want to measure, you can, but I pretty much eyeball so that my opening here is in the center and that they're about the same distance. And then I'm just going to fold that back. I'm going to then fold it in the other direction just to help that crease be really happy. So that when I open my card, I can now push that and fold it. And so I'm going to use my bone folder again to help make some nice creases here so that the mechanism will work very nicely. So that's a super simple way to make a pop-up card. And we're going to use supplies from our embellishment kits to decorate the card. And I'll leave these 3 in place for inspiration. But even if you have, let's say you got the butterfly card pack, you might have different ribbons or different color cards in your kit. So that tonight's a stretch where you get to use your creativity, but you know that all the things in your kit are designed by Stampin' Up! To go together. So you can't go wrong using items that are in this kit. They all belong together. I'm going to start with the one that has a lot of globes and maps and copper elements with it. Again, the Memories and More cards typically have some sticker sheets. And then they also have a selection of the 4x6 cards. A lot of them have nice words and greetings, so that makes it easy to create the cards, even if you don't have a lot of stamps in your collection. They're double-sided, so as you do your designing tonight or later on as you go back and enjoy this video, you will want to make sure you look at both sides because sometimes there's a hidden gem on the other side that you want to be sure to use. So these are designed, for journaling if you were doing memory keeping. So many of them have lines or spaces to do greetings. And then others act kind of as a background paper. Here's another one where you could do some writing or journaling. And lots of possibilities, as you can see. Okay, so there's the 4x6 cards. Then there are also the 3x4 cards, which are half that size and work beautifully. So what I need to do is now decide which card I want to put on the front of my card. And I can choose to make it a portrait orientation or a landscape. So as we work together tonight, you may want to sort of get the tips for me on how to cut the cards and then flip through your collection to decide how you want to best use your pieces. Let's go ahead and make a portrait card. So it's going to be taller. And that way I can use this beautiful globe that has this foil, gold foil on it, which is really fun. Now you'll notice this card 4x6 measures differently than 4¼ by 5.5. So I'm going to use my paper trimmer to cut it down to 5.5 from 6. Now to keep this balanced so that my piece is in the middle, I'm going to cut a little bit from the top and a little bit from the bottom, 1/4 inch from each section. Let's see. And if you don't have a trimmer like this, you can use scissors. You can obviously also fold your card differently or work with a different size card base, but I wanted to share with you how you can adapt the 4x6 to work on the standard card. Now, I want to cover up this little piece here, right, where I'm going to have my pop-up. And then you'll notice I have a strip here of white. Now, you could leave that just plain white, or you can pick, because we have such a variety of these different cards, we can go through and think, what part would I like to add to have a little strip or stripe along? This one's another great metallic piece. And I really like this, this map here. And all I need is that 1/2 inch, so I can cut along this strip, and then I'd have a little piece to put next to the globe. So bring in my trimmer again. And this time I'm just going to cut it at 1/2 inch. And this piece I can still use for a lot of different things. Oh, and I have to also remember to cut it down to 5.5 so that it will fit correctly top to bottom. There we are. Okay. Set that there so it's not too much confusing in our way here. All right, so now I've got this little piece I can put along the edge and a piece here at the edge, lining up with this edge. I'm going to use my multi-purpose glue. First, I'll put that strip in place. You'll notice on my Christmas version, I used some glitter paper and I wanted a little more of that to show. So I put the Merry Christmas first and then added the glitter on top. For my other cards, I only really wanted a hint to show. So I put the strip down first, and now I'll add this. But you're going to remind me that I don't want to have glue right here, right? So I'm going to, instead of putting the glue all over the back of this like I might normally do for layering, I'm just going to put it over on this side here, put it onto the card base itself. And that way I won't spill water or glue into this section that I don't want it. So I'm centering top to bottom here and covering up that pop-up device. Now, what I want to do next is decide what will be my greeting on the inside, or what will be the card that I put there on the inside. So I'm going to pull out my little 3x4 cards, the choices that I have from the smaller cards. I like the Explore more, but I want my card to open this way. So that would be a little bit awkward. There's no rules. You could still do that. This one says it's never too late in life to have an adventure. That would be a great one for a retirement card. Somebody who's making a change in their career or going on a big adventure. Let's just look at a couple other, this is another nice one, Dream, Discover, Explore. So depending on who you're planning to give your card to or who you want to have a card in your stash, you can select. Now we only want glue to be on this little flap right here. That's the part that's going to hold our pop-up. So I'll put some glue there and then secure this so that I can fold it. Okay, I can close it and push it down to help that glue set. And now I have an engaging card. When I open it, it's got some movement to it and it's going to move toward me. Now, this is very simply elegant. You could leave it just like this, but in your kit, I've included lots of different embellishment pieces. There's little clips here in this set, some different ribbon and twine. This one has some sparkly gems and some of the baker's twine. I want to show you one way to make a bow. And this is called the rabbit ear bow or the bunny ear bow. And you want to have about 10 inches or more of ribbon, depending on how big you want your bow to be. But let me move this aside so you can really focus on the way I'm moving the ribbon. I think it'll be easier with a white background underneath. I'm going to make one bunny ear in one hand and one in the other. Now, the trick to this is you don't want the loops to be too close together as you're getting started. You want to leave a nice couple of inches in here and make sure your bows are big. so that you're going to be able to manipulate them. Now, all it is tying a knot. You're going to put I'm left-handed. I don't know if that makes a difference, but I'm going to do the left loop over the right and then under and pull. Now, first, obviously, it's not balanced, is it? But I can pull on the tails to get them straightened and to tighten the bow. I'm going to do this again so you can see how simple it is and you can practice. Different kinds of ribbon are going to be easier to practice with. This is, if you have this kit and it has this heavier twine, this is going to be a little more challenging to practice with. You want something a little more forgiving as you're learning to do the bow. So you're going to make one bunny ear, a nice little space in between, and another bunny ear. Wrap one over the other and pull through. Okay. So it does help to have the ribbon longer than you intend to have it be on your project. And that way you can have some wiggle room to pull and twist and get it just the way you like. So then we can take our scissors and just trim off any excess ribbon. And then I can mount it on my card. And I thought the bow would look kind of fun here on the stand of the globe. So if you have multi-purpose glue, this works well with ribbon, but it does take a little longer to dry. When I'm working with ribbon, I often, or with other embellishments, I often enjoy glue dots. And these are like kind of like little hot glue, but it's not hot anymore. Little bits of glue. See if you can see on the camera there. It's got a little shiny circle. I'm going to put my ribbon right onto it and then peel it off. And now I've got the sticky right on the back of the ribbon and I can place it where I want it to be. So there's a card that's got some movement. We've used some ribbon, and just for fun, we can add some of these shiny.
It's kind of like a dimensional,
here.
but
So,
it's
I like threes. But another cool thing to do with this is if you live here in New York State like we do, we can kind of put one right on top of the United States, and New York State there is kind of a little locator. That's where we live. There are, in this collection, there are maps that show all of the continents. So it's not just centric to the US, but I do like that this is where I live and I can indicate that. So there's a pop-up. Let me show you the other three designs. So as you're working with your supplies, you can get inspiration. This one I stamped with a greeting that I'll be featuring at our class tomorrow. So let me give a little 30-second commercial for our Let's Kit Together class tomorrow. We'll be working with, I have several options, but my favorite and the one that several people have told me they have on their wish list is called Welcome In. And they're beautiful cards with quite a bit of layering. And they feature, the stamp set is a sweet vase. It's kind of like a Greek vase. And a really unique floral stamp that I'll show you in a project as well. And then the greetings say, friend, you're invited, and thank you for your hospitality. So those are fun. And this one has the thank you for your hospitality inside. Many of the cards, as I mentioned, have blank areas for you to stamp or write a handwritten message. If you have any questions about this mechanism or what I'm using to how we created that, please let me know. I can answer those questions, but it's a basic pop-up, but it just adds a little bit of wow to your project. Okay, so that's project number one, and that's called our pop-up card.
Question for the
next card we'll try uses the crumb cake card and envelope. So the envelope looks like this, and there's actually a piece like this that would be inside as a liner in your card. And the trick, I mentioned that stamp set. The trick I'm going to show you is you can customize it for a card you want by turning it over and decorating the other side, because this side is just white. So the leaves might complement nicely your project, and it gives kind of a little special elegance to your envelope. But you can flip it over and then change that by the color and images that you choose. So this is a very basic project using the Memories and More cards, because we don't need to cut any cards for this one. And this one, I'm going to go ahead and do the Christmas for you. So if you have the set with the gnome, then you're going to be enjoying this next presentation where I share the products from here. So by design, the front of the card would be this frame piece. And these envelopes are great for, and card bases are great to put a photograph or in this case, using the Memories and More cards. But I'm going to show you how to, instead of covering this up, like we will with our full 4x6 card, I like to turn the card inside out so that that frame is now the inside of my card. Okay, and here's one that's finished to show you. So I can use one of those smaller cards inside that frame. Again, very simple trick to just reverse the way the card was originally planned. I'm just going to flip it over so that it can be more versatile, and I'm not going to cover up that pretty silver foiling. So this one I used that world kit, but this one, let's make a Christmas together. I'll leave this here as inspiration. So when you first, pull out your packet and you're thinking, okay, in this case, I need to pick one big card and one small card. And you can decide if you choose to make them portrait or landscape. Like this one would be a landscape card. And this one would also be landscape. The glitter paper could be either, right? It's just gorgeous. We might use that one because it's so much fun. It's got some stickers, just like the other kit does. And let's see, I was trying to find one that would be a portrait to show you. It looks like most of these are landscape design. So we'll make it a landscape card. We have the most choices. I like this one very much. It's the most wonderful time of the year. But I also love the glitter, and I think I'll use that one because it's just really fun to showcase. Okay, so we'll have the glitter on the front, and then we'll do some more work here in a minute. On the inside, though, now we need to find a landscape little card. Okay, so we'll dig through these guys, and there's a whole bunch, right? There's going to be some. This one would be fun to write to put in the middle, and then just write your little message right on this gold on the red bag. Wouldn't that be fun, just to personalize your little greeting there? That one might be hard to resist. Let's see what else we have. These nice stars and tree time. That would be a landscape one. Holly Jolly would be landscape, but that's nice too with a line. So again, hopefully you'll use that same kit to make one of your pop-up cards, to make the crumb cake card, and then to make our third project tonight. So it all will mix and match. But I love the idea of writing on this red or stamping something here. So we'll go ahead. This one comes together very quickly because we didn't need to cut the cards. I'm going to add my thread of the multi-purpose glue. Remember, a thread or ... not a lot. Just need a little bit of glue. We're going to push that. And then for the front, let's go ahead and adhere our lovely glitter polka dot. My son, Billy, does not like glitter. So this card would not be one I would share with Billy, but I know a lot of people who love sparkle. So this will work nicely. Isn't that dramatic? Okay. So it's kind of, even though the glitter has a lot of action happening, there aren't any words or images to rest our eyes. So let's see what we can find here. I have this candy cane, which I love. And then I have these little other glitter stickers with Santa or with Mrs. Claus. She's got a little heart on her apron. That's very sweet. And then I have, because what's fun to do sometimes is just to fussy cut an image, and I'll show you that on the last card, but let's go ahead and cut out this candy cane. We'll fussy cut the candy cane with the bow. And that gives me a chance to remind you of my tips for fussy cutting. are to keep the scissors still, but just turn the paper. Okay, so sometimes if I talk about it, I do it the wrong way, but I'm just going to use my left hand that's holding the paper. That's going to do all the turning. The scissors are just going to stay pretty stationary, and that will help me keep the best control. Now, I like to leave a little bit of edge around the image I'm cutting. Some people like to cut right up to the image, and that's just a personal preference. You can do it however you like. And we've talked before about finding images like this in your junk mail or in other lovely cards that people have sent to you that you can repurpose. There's a lot of different ways to find images in magazines or in the items that you have at your home. So let's see, I'm just looking for some words, maybe this merry and bright, because I do want to have a little bit of greeting on there. I have some stickers that say Merry Christmas or Happy Christmas. That would work too. But I think we'll go ahead and pick and cut out the merry and bright. And so it's got sort of two kind of large iconic greeting or Christmas images here, holiday images. I like to fussy cut. I think it's very relaxing. And sometimes I'll just have music or a podcast on and you can just relax and cut. I also like to color. We're not coloring tonight, but I do love to color. And then maybe a little holly or something like that. Let's pull that in because I like to have a balance of images. There we are. So let's use our dimensionals to pop these up. And mine always like to hide. Let's see where they're hiding. I like to use Stampin' dimensionals because what they do is create a little shadow between the images and the base layer. It just seems a little more homemade this way, a little more interactive or engaging because of that depth. And there's the merry and bright. Let's add the candy cane with some dimensionals as well. And like this. Okay, now to finish off, I've got some ribbon. We could do a bow. There's different ways to do a bow. This one I think is too light, right? It kind of blends in too much. There isn't very much contrast. This one has some nice contrast against the glitter. And I didn't think about it in time. You know, I think it might compete though, because there's a bow here, even though this isn't made of fabric, it would compete maybe to have another bow. So I might, let's see, if I wanted to show you another way to include ribbon, one way is just to have kind of a loop and then it just adds a little bit of texture. Could do something like that. Sometimes we do it where it looks like thirds, actually. Let's see if I can do that. It's like a Z or a zigzag. Let's trim it and try it out. Each of your kit does have some ribbon, so I wanted to show you some different ways to use your ribbon when you're creating a card. You know, a lot of my style is sort of a collage card, right? Where we just get to layer and play. There, I kind of like that. The dimensionals are giving me a little bit of wiggle time to move those before they're completely set. There we are. There, I think that's fun, and it's going to give some texture. We've got the glitter that's got some embossing with it, the ribbon with the texture, and then the inside. So I was expecting a pop-up because we did the pop-up earlier. These are just easy cards that you didn't have to do any cutting for. Okay, so this one, I used just a little bit of ribbon behind this piece that says Discover, again, to add some texture. I like the contrast of the shiny metal, the foil, and then that twine that's more rustic. So there's two examples of that. Now, before we move on to the final project, I want to show you how you can personalize the liner. Okay, it won't show there, will it? Let's see, I'm going to put it like this. So in the kit that we're using at the library tomorrow for the Let's Kit Together, the Welcome In class, there is a great stamp that is a repetition stamp. So it's actually designed so that you stamp it once and then you can line up the image from the left to the part where you stamped the right. So I'll demonstrate for you here. I'm going to ink it up, and because this is a photopolymer stamp, I want to be sure I have a cushion underneath, right? So that I can get an even impression. So I'm going to can start really anywhere, but I'm going to go across. And now what I want to do is ink it up again. And this time, just have to put some scrap paper under there. I want this flower, this kind of big flower here is going to fit over in here. And I'm going to do that. And now I can go back and do the right side of the stamp and fill it in next to that flower. Do you see how it looks continual now? Okay. And now I can do the same for the up and down. It's a little bit trickier to find the spot, but it's designed. Let's see if I can line it up. Trying to remember exactly how I did it. I'm going to start down here, I think, so that I can finish and have it look continuous. There we go. Isn't that fun? So this is just a way, if you want to customize your liner of your envelope, you can do that with stamping. It doesn't have to be one of these continuous stamps, repetition stamps, but I do think that's pretty impressive. And you don't have to go down the whole piece of the paper because it's going to tuck in your envelope and only that much is going to show. So what I like to do is just add a little bit of adhesive inside here just to anchor that and make sure it's on the inside part of the envelope. And then now we still have that gum exposed here so we can seal the envelope, but doesn't it just add a little bit of elegance when you have a liner like that? And you'll fold it, score it, crease it, and then your card can fit inside. Okay, for our last card tonight, we are going to use the card base that you have in your kit that looks like the floral garden. It has yellow in it. And this will go really nicely if your kit is the one with the dandelions and the bumblebees and all of those friends in there. But you may think it goes less well with like the Christmas one, right? Or with the one here I did as an example with this butterfly one. And so I'm teaching you a trick where you can kind of camouflage this yellow piece. It actually is still here in my card, but the way the card opens, you don't see that. So it's not competing. Now, the color in my mind is fine. It doesn't compete. It's more just the pattern of like a dandelion pattern with a Christmas card to me doesn't match as well. But depending on your kit, it might flow just fine. But I want to share with you, again, it's just a trick to kind of camouflage that piece that we don't want. So you might have it a set of note cards at home that they've been sitting around and maybe you want to repurpose them. You can use this trick to kind of hide that original design and still have that nice sturdy card base. I hope that makes sense. I just thought it was fun to be able to repurpose. So let's make this one with a different, let's see, what haven't we used? Well, we haven't used the dandelion one. So even though this coordinates, I'm going to pretend that it really doesn't. And so this way you'll see how you can hide that element design that might not coordinate with your other pieces. Again, it's a movement card. It's not difficult. It's just one fold. Now, when you're folding a card like this, we're going to fold it exactly in half, actually into quarters, but this front piece is going to be folded in half. So if you don't have a scoring tool, you can just eyeball this. In fact, I'll do that in case you don't have a tool like I do tonight. I'm first folding the card in half. Then what I'm going to do is just fold the front back to that score line. I'm hiding that yellow pattern. There we are. Okay, so now I have this this kind of fold where it's valley and then mountain, and so it can pull open this way. And the way the card's designed, you really don't see this unless you walk around and look at the back of the card. Okay, so it will work regardless of what card pieces you're putting on top. But I did want to show you the goodness that's in this little kit, because it's got some funny little ladybugs in here, which are super cute. We'll have to put one of those on the card. I'll show you how sweet they are. Little ladybugs. And some more of that nice trim, that braided trim that you can kind of pull apart and fray. Maybe we'll use that as well. And you'll notice we need to pick one large card and two small cards. I've got one on the front and then one on the inside here. And I'll tell you why I did that. So we've got some lovely pieces we can choose from. And what I'm doing is looking for one that's vertical. It's a landscape card that has some words on it that we like. So we have time together is time well spent, or together is my favorite place to be. Let's see, we'll kind of audition these as we get started. Okay. Now I need to find a tall card, a 4x6 card that I can use. Now, then they'll go, that one's a landscape instead of, see how the pattern is, the dandelions are growing this way. So that one doesn't work for this particular design, but this one does. And this one also would, but it does have some words that might compete since we're going to be cutting it in half. So let's go with this basic one, the dandelions. Have any of you ever made dandelion wine? When I was growing up, we used to collect the dandelion leaves, and I never remember tasting any, but my dad used to make dandelion wine. That's a funny memory. These are 4x6, so I just cut it in half, 2 inches and 2 inches. And now I can take my glue and put them right into the card. Now I'm butting it up right against that fold. So when the card is closed, it looks like that piece is all connected. It's only when you lift it that it separates. So let's go ahead and put our adhesive here. And I'm gonna line it right up with that fold. And there'll be a little bit of white on the top and on the left and on the bottom. Okay. Next, I'll take the other half and see how I cut it right down the middle. So it looks like it's, when the card is closed, it looks like it's still connected. Put that here. And so that it's going to line right up. Again, it's going to have a space on a border. Wiggle it in a little bit tighter. Okay. So I've got this nice one that says time together is time well spent. Excellent. Now the back of this design doesn't have any words and it doesn't look funny, but let's say if I used this one, see how there's just part of a word showing. So that's why I covered up the word that was the back of this blue card. Had like funny leftover words. So I split another card and put it here. Now you might ask why I bothered to split it. And that's because this card doesn't just open as a traditional card, it actually pulls out. And if this card was glued onto there, it would make it firm like a book page. It wouldn't be able to stretch. So even though this one doesn't need an inside, I will demonstrate that for you just so you know why I did that. We only want adhesive on this half, so I'm careful when I'm putting my glue to only have it be on half of this smaller card. Okay, so I will show you why I did this on the back and why I split it. Okay, all right, so let's do maybe it will have the blue on the inside, just because I have that one right handy. So I'm going to cut this in half at 1.5 inches. And then I know this kind of complicates things a little bit for showing you, but if your card on the back has something that would be competing, that's why I'm bothering to cover it up so that it doesn't look awkward. And let me just show you before I put it on here, what would happen if we didn't cut this. You'll see that it would go like, it wouldn't open. It wouldn't pull out because there would be secure there. One other thing I suppose I could do is fold it. But I'm going to go ahead and just show you how I glued it to make that work. Paper engineering sometimes has little challenges, and you get to think about how to solve the problems. That's very satisfying. There, so now I've made it, there's nothing impeding this, nothing that's going to keep it from being able to stretch right out. All right. Now, this card here, when it opens, there's just space to write it inside, and that's fine. But you could take it one step further and add another card inside, just because there's so many different possibilities and greetings. Here's like a thinking of you. So it could say, time together is time well spent, and then thinking of you. Okay, let's go ahead and put that on the inside. Or you could just leave it here if you have a larger message you want to write to someone. I'm going to line that up. So that's kind of like a surprise when it opens. It's not a pop-up the same way our first card is, but it's like, ooh, there's more, right? That's a good feeling of abundance. Now, before we finish, we'll add some of the fun little embellishments that we have. I have this cute ladybug. I'm going to use one of my glue dots to secure the little ladybug. Let's put her down by the greeting, maybe. Okay, time together is time well spent. And maybe some of these little stickers to add a little bit of color. And put those here. And you can just play and experiment how you would like to use your supplies. I like just adding some dimension and stickers here. This one doesn't have any ribbon yet. This lace might be fun to use, even if we just tucked a little bit here. I could make a small knot. Cut it. And this kind of crocheted lace reminds me of my grandmother Larrabee, who used to have a lot of doilies and all kinds of decorative fabrics at her home. So let's just add that little gentle texture. Where are my glue dots? Here they are. So if you like this style of kit where you kind of have a collage or an assortment of things to play with, you can let me and Julia know. It's fun to change things up. So periodically you might have a kit like this, or you might have a more traditional kit where the cards are prepped for you. It helps me as I plan if I know the kinds of things people would like. But I want to review the different cards that we made today so you can be inspired. We started with our pop-up cards, and these are that simple mechanism that allows you to have a card kind of jump out at the recipient. The Merry Christmas one. Globe. It's never too late in life to have an adventure. And this really pretty butterfly one. Thank you for your hospitality. Okay, then we had the crumb cake cards with the frames. And remember, we flipped it so the frame would be on the inside of the card and not covered up by the 4x6 on the front. There's a few of those. And then we finished with our pull-out card. And this one needs a little embellishing, doesn't it, before we go? Let's find that kit. And this kit has a very pretty pearl. It's actually 3 little pearls. And I think that would be beautiful on this card. It's a little trio of pearls. My good friend Colleen just celebrated her 30th wedding anniversary over the weekend. And the gift, the traditional gift for 30 years of marriage is pearl. So I had fun creating some projects that were at her party that had some pearls on them. So that's really lovely. You are lovely. And that pretty pearl. There also are some fun stickers in this one and some more gems. There are yellow gems and blue gems. Let's see. I don't think I'm going to compete with the pearl with the gems, but I might add a few of these little butterflies. These have
Missy, are you able to hear
here as
me?
well, the flowers and the butterflies.
Oh,
And
I
I
guess
do
you
like,
can.
this is all kind of a monochromatic, mostly blues. There's some razzleberry here, so I could maybe pull in some razzleberry, but I like that there's a lot of just blue. It's called a monochromatic card. So I'm just going to add that butterfly there because it's kind of keeping that color consistent. There we are. If you have any questions, questions help me learn things. They help me figure things out. So I welcome you to share your questions. I also invite you to let me know what you'd like to learn next. If you see something on Pinterest or and as you're surfing and you find a particular layout or something that's of interest to you that you'd like to learn, would you please let me know and I can try to customize our activities. Okay, I got a message.
Hear you, but I don't think you can hear us.
I can hear you now. Let me make it louder. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. You can't hear us.
Okay, now I can. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. You can hear us now.
Yes.
Oh, good. Trying to remember what it was I was going to tell you sooner, but I can't.
I'm so sorry that I missed it. I'd be curious if you have a favorite one of these kinds of cards. And I'd also love to know what you make with your kit, you know, what you decide to do. You could make memory pages and scrapbooking projects. You could try the different layouts that we featured tonight. It's always fun to see how you use the supplies. And we'll look forward to next month.
Yeah, I think I was going to ask how you were going to put the little ladybug dots on.
So I use the glue dots, and the glue dots are that little bit. It's like a little bit of hot glue, but it's not
They're
hot.
about the same size as the dimensionals, aren't they?
Yes, they're a little bit smaller.
Okay.
And sometimes you can use a couple of them. Like the ladybug has is kind of hollow inside. So you have to be sure that you catch the ladybug sides in order to make it work with this. You could also use the green glue. It will take a little longer to dry, and the green glue can leave a kind of residue or a stickiness around things. And if that happens, we have like an eraser like this that's designed, an adhesive remover, and that will really help. But the glue dots, I think, are great. I wanted to show them tonight, both for ribbon or for embellishments like that ladybug that are kind of bulky.
Yeah. If you put glue on the ladybug, would it show through the other side of the paper?
No, let me see. I think I have another ladybug. This is a great question. Let me see if I can find her, and then I could show you, but let's see. I may have spoken too soon. Here she is. Okay. So the ladybug on the back is kind of hollow there, right? So if I put glue on it, I'm just going to be sure to catch the part that's flat. I don't know if you can see here. There's like where the legs are of the ladybug. And a trick with using the green glue, we call it green glue because of the green lid, but the multi-purpose glue is that if you dot some on here, sorry, I don't want it to spill out too much. Okay, see how it's very white right now. It's showing like thick. If I just let that dry for even a half hour, it will become like a removable glue dot. Like it'll be kind of like a glue dot. So it will be it'll be sticky and it won't smush out the glue if you let the glue set. And it doesn't have to be overnight. I think it would just be a little while. So if I didn't have glue dots, that's would be my advice for this. I'd use this kind of glue and put some on there and then let it dry for a little while. And then it's going to kind of turn into a glue dot. Okay. I'm trying to think otherwise, if you had like a double-sided tape, you could stick down the ladybug, but it may not stay as well as with this liquid adhesive.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Let me just quickly check the Facebook. I don't think.
Okay.
Nope, looks like we don't have any questions there.
Okay. Well, it's been fun to share with you some ideas using these memory and more cards, and they're a great shortcut because they already coordinate. The designs and colors already mix and match, and so if you start with the set, you know you really can't go wrong in mixing the patterns. And I also like that they are those nice standard size of 4x6 and 3x4. Okay. Well, thanks again, Julia, for being our tech host here and through the library. And it's exciting, the children's library. I've been watching the Facebook pictures. The children's library section is coming right along. I'm so eager to get to visit there when my niece comes, who's almost 5. She's going to really love all the circle shapes and the colors. And
yeah, it's good. We're actually on target for our opening. We may have our opening on the 27th even instead of the 31st.
wow, that's
We'll just have to
remarkable.
see.
Very,
and we're going
very
to have a
good.
little contest that people can enter to name our new sloth and our new koala.
Oh, I like that. I'll have to stop in. Very good. Well, it's a fun to be with everybody. Thanks for taking part. And if you can stop by the library tomorrow, 10 o'clock, 10 to 11:30 is our Let's Kit Together class. Even if you're not sure you want to invest in a kit, but you're curious to see what we're up to, please join us, stop in. We are in is it called the computer lab? It doesn't really have computers anymore, but it's right around the corner. The librarians will direct you. We'll be back in the community room once the library reopens. But that other room has worked out well for us. And so even if you just want to stop by and check out what we do on those Friday mornings, then you're more than welcome. Great. Thank you, Julia. Thanks, everybody, for taking part tonight. And for those of you enjoying it on YouTube and Facebook with the replay, please let us know if you have any questions.
Okay. Yep. Thank you, Lisa. Good night.
Thanks, friends.
Good night, Missy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.